Welcome, everyone. This is Arch Gabe, and this is Keeping It Real number two. One of the biggest battles in my life so far is the Christian faith. Yes, yes, that's one of the biggest battles so far. If you're a Bible thumper, this clip will offend you. Um, I wanted to do this because I know a lot of people, the things that I'm going to share will inspire everyone that you're not alone. And it's a spiritual battle. It's not just a physical, but spiritual, the unseen battles. So I'm gonna share a little bit of my experience as a Christian, but now a former Christian, and why I have zero plans to be one again, and what are the things I had to do to overcome this battle. In my early 20s, I joined this Christian church as a non-denomination church, but whatever. But I joined this Christian church to find myself, and it was good. It was good. People was great. They treated you as a brother, even though I wasn't a member there yet. And sisters and brothers and all that. Got a lot of phone numbers. People wanted to get to know me. It was amazing. You know, my circle of friends has always been small, but when I joined this church soon after, I have a large network. There's a large network of so-called brothers and sisters. So there were some things that in the church that I felt conflicted. Things started to reveal itself slowly. You know, I had a I had a conflict with this whole thing of minister as the head of the church. And the reason is that, and I'll tell you all, if anyone listening, that I will tell you straight up, I don't like authority, and share that with different people in the past. And in society we're in, someone that hates authority, that's a very dangerous person. So whatever. But I didn't like the whole idea of this structure, whole thing about God put this person as the head of the church. I really didn't like it. The structure, it was made me question. So I joined a church. I became was baptized, and you know, whole thing with Jesus and God and everything. The whole, obviously before you become a Christian, you got to do these Bible studies, and I did all that. So, but things start to reveal itself a lot more about the church, the whole Christian faith. This is my experience. Okay, some of you may relate, some of you may not. So, but I just want to just tell people straight up, about a little bit of my journey on Earth. This life is it's very challenging, in different fronts. But to go on with this story, um, I met my that was my ex fiance. You know, um, we had a lot back and forth. Didn't work out, but I met her, and a lot of people in the church was sticking their noses in, involved in a relationship. Treat you like you're a child. Obviously, you can't make decisions for yourself, and you know, it's the control narrative that I wasn't aware of at the time when you involve yourself in a relationship with somebody. And then in the church, if you're a single man at the time, you cannot live by yourself. It's not recommended. You might fall into sin if you're greatly to fall into sin if you live by yourself. So you have to live within roommates of other single guys. So there's a lot of this psychological game that have to work itself in. But if you stand firm and they say, no, I want to stay in my apartment, I don't want to move in with roommates and stuff, you could do that. But silly me, I had my own place. Uh, I had my own place. I lived in Queens, and I left that place to move in with a roommate that was already a member of the church. So, you know, and then yeah, that was it. I started living with different roommates. It was I won't go every detail, but I wanted to talk about certain things that why why I have no plans to be a Christian at all. So the church revealed its ugly head. I was going through depression. I was going through a lot of battles, dealing with dark entities or demonic creatures or whatever you want to call it. But I was going through a lot, and between that, then the gossip in the church, using your what you're going through emotionally and being open and honest, in your what's in your heart, because it's encouraged for people to really be open with your emotions, but then through the church, when you're too open, it could really bite you in the behind, if you understand. So yeah, I was very honest. It was very not easy. I don't normally tell people a lot of things up front until I get very comfortable. And when I start sharing certain things about my life, about different battles I'm going through, depression, all that, uh, after a while, things start to take a weight, a heavy load on the people. And there was other people in the church that was going through depression, but for me, I was going through a lot of thoughts. I made a lot of. I tried to commit suicide many times, many many times, and you know, the fought through it. I fought through it, you know, and you know, during the beginning years of the church, when I was invited into a leadership meeting, even though I was a new member still, but I was in a leadership meeting, and they discussed things that other members don't know of, far as just the whole it's called as discipleship, you know, guiding someone or how to guide somebody and how to get people to really think about what would Jesus was do, and if somebody wants to go to college and not be in the church frequently, we have to have guidance of what to deal with members that don't or unable to go to church, and the whole guilt trip, you know. But the one of the thing that stood out in my mind in the leadership meeting was that if you leave God and if you get hit by a Mack truck, where will you end up? Now, that right there, that was a deep, deep psychological way of controlling people. So if you leave God, which is the church building or the fellowship, they call it the fellowship, but it could be at the particular place where everybody's meeting. If you do not frequently go there or whatever, even God, if something happens to you, you know, it's not really a guarantee if you're gonna make it to the pearly gates. And it's amazing. It's amazing that a lot of people have been affected by that, even myself. So I just want to make this short, okay? I don't want to go too far in, but just wanted to share to you things that I've been through in my life so far. I had members in the church because I was going through so much emotions. It was very hard. I'd taken these stupid antidepressant pills at the time. It made me worse. I felt worse. When I had some of the members portray me as a madman, or one of those psycho lunatics, whatever you see in the news because of my emotional state. They wanted to. It was a surprise meeting, and they wanted me. I thought it was a regular get together, but before I had a so-called friend pick me up. That's a member of the church. Uh, it was a regular Friday night out with the guys hanging out, you know. And while I was in the car with him, uh, I had a deep warning. It was a warning that where I was going, I'm going to be very distraught. I mean, I'm going to walk out, let me just be clear that when I leave the place where I'm going, I'm going to be very overwhelmed. It was a flash thought out of nowhere. So when I got to the house where we was getting together with me and the other guys, the members of the church, it turned out to be not a get together just to hang out. It was a surprise meeting about me. So the roommate that was so happened to be a younger Christian, he's newer member, but there was other roommates. There's one other person that's been in the church a little longer. But this particular person that was in charge of, I guess, there's different leaders, different ranks in the church, but he was just telling me that basically I will have to leave the church. I will have to leave the household where I was living, and I will have to. They suggested to be in a shelter. Okay, and it was amazing. I thought I was going to be in the street, but things worked out. But when I left the place, and they told me why, because of my depression, they just can't deal with me, all that, and that was very. I was very overwhelmed. That premonition, it came true. Yep. I was very overwhelmed when I left the place. When I called the minister, when I went back to the house where I was staying at, I was had to let him know what happened, and he told me that he was involved in this meeting, even though he wasn't there. But he orchestrated that, and he was very cold about it, about me needed I needed to leave, and I'm no longer part of the church. Uh, I was so angry at this person, and then when I hung up the phone, I was alone. Nobody was in the house yet, and I was rustling. I wanted to commit suicide right there because one, I didn't want to be in the street. Two, I felt like a failure, and I felt that there was a demonic force or dark entity, whatever you want to call it. But I had a, it was using me to try to stab myself. I was trying to, I was on the floor, rustling, rolling around the floor, trying to stab myself. Obviously, I did not stab myself, but I was going through, it was a very intense battle in that room by myself. The roommate, the person that owns the house, cut the power off in that room I was staying. Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. But it's just more to it. But I just wanted to I just needed to share this, you know. And I left the church altogether. I obviously I didn't. Somebody helped me out, transition out of there. Somebody that's not a member of the church helped me out at the time, and lived with my parents temporarily. But I avoided to be in the street, so I no longer part of the church. But I was still, I still have it in me that I wanted to build a different church on my own. I felt like it was my heart at the time. I tried, felt like I wanted to start a church on my own, but it didn't work out. Didn't have it in me to do it. And I felt I did my best to live the so called life of Jesus and not being part of church. And a lot of people that claim to be my friends, brothers, and sisters, they slowly but surely faded away. That's what happens when you're not a member of the church. They call that disfellowship. Oh yeah, and I had that fear about if I would have left God, where would I end up? Remember, I just said that. Where would I end up? That was the fear I was going through, and it was tormenting me for many years after I left the church. It tormented me. Still wanted to build a church, still wanted to do things, and I just didn't have it in me at the time. I didn't know better at the time, but it was just part of the journey. I questioned God, this Christian God. I question about how how God cast this demonic creature Satan to earth, where Adam and Eve ate the apple what Eve was influenced to eat the apple. So it's like God literally put the lion. Kind of like where you end up in the. Excuse me. Let me just put it like this. Where you end up in the lion's den. It's kind of like the other way around. It's like you're in a den, but the lion's been put in there. The lion was dumped right there to torment you. So I questioned the whole thing with God, this Christian God. I questioned the whole Jesus, all that stuff. I did. I did. Finally leaving the church was one half the battle. But the other half of the battle, I was going through the psychological uh, enslavement because I just wasn't sure where I'm going to end up. I was afraid. I was afraid I was going to go to hell. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to go until 2011. I believe 2012, somewhere around that period. I had the courage when I questioned this Christian God. I had the courage. I had to face that fear. I had to face it. The only way, if I was going to overcome this fear of God, the only way for me to overcome it is I have to face it. I went outside in an open field. I yelled the loudest I can. I look up in the sky. I yelled the loudest. And I told God, I kept saying, I told God, I want you to strike me right now. I even cursed at the Christian God. I demanded. I told God that I am no longer going to be afraid of you. I even threw the Bible in the garbage. Yeah, I did. When I did that, when I challenged this God to face that fear, I overcome one of the biggest battles in my life. To this day, I haven't been struck by lightning, obviously, but I had a thing reveal itself to me about the creator, the actual creator, not the Christian version, but the creator. I realized that the creator is internal. And one of the things I struggled with the Christian God was the whole concept about how man is made in the image of God. I'm sorry I forgot to add this part. One of the reasons why I felt very frustrated back and forth during the days I was a Christian is that every time I think about God, I think about God as a human being. I think about God looking down at me angry. Every time I mess up, he's angry. He's looking at you very angry, and he's going to strike you at any moment. It's up to God to give you his grace. And of course, the whole thing with Jesus, that's just a to me, from my experience, that's just another level of control mechanism. Like what would Jesus would do? So if I want to do something with my life, and I'm sorry I didn't emphasize, I didn't share this point, but if I want to do something with my life, the member of the church would say, "What would Jesus do?" That kind of like tries to uh, break the walls down. Like you want to just do this with your life. So if you want to take a job or you want to do something with your life, whatever you want to do, that phrase was always brought up all the time with other members. What would Jesus would do? And then you stop and think. I said, wow, yeah, I guess yeah. What would Jesus do? Yeah, I guess Jesus would deny himself and just deny the job, deny whatever dream you have, and just go with the church. So that was see the whole Jesus thing was another control mechanism. But the Christian God, was another level. But I had to face that. I had to face that. I had to overcome that. And so anyway, back to when I didn't reveal stuff about the creator, the creation of life, is that the creation of life is I don't know how to explain it, but this is something that I found on my own. Not through any textbooks though, okay? And not through a YouTube clip, okay? This is something that I found on my own. I discovered that the creator of life is nothing but raw energy. And the creator, the power of the creator is within. There's no separation of the creator, no matter how much, no matter what you do. But you still have to make a decision what type of life you're going to live. The decision is always yours. So when I come to an understanding about the creative life, the creator, that it's not a hierarchy thing for me. It's not. It was, I felt connected. I felt a very deep connection with the creator that I have never gotten before while I was a Christian. I try not to use the word God. Um, it just comes up a certain way that I'd rather say the creator. I guess I'm okay with that personally. Infinity, or I could call it. But the creator is fine with me. I just feel at one. I felt connected, and but yeah, that's. I just wanted to mention this. Why I have no plans to ever be a Christian. Um, Now, I will say this. Some of you will probably ask a question like, well, how come you talk about common law and everything, and natural rights and everything? Common law is based on Christian principles. The reason why I support common law because there's a I don't know how to put it. Maybe I just put it like this. There's a universal law of life itself, and some things about the common law I agree. There's things. Um, But that doesn't mean I'm going to be a Christian. Doesn't mean. No. I agree with natural rights. Uh, I do fully support a self-governing society. So, but I mean, there's basic things. Don't murder, steal. Yeah, I get that, and I agree too. You know, don't murder, don't steal, all that. And these are basically, I look at it like this is like, these are just a guide, for yourself. This is, what type of life you want to live if you're gonna murder somebody. Now, if it's for self-defense, now if you're defending yourself, now hey, you gotta do what you have to do now. But steal something, what are you telling the creator? You're telling the creator that, well, I have a lack mentality and I don't deserve the blessings from my creator, so therefore I'm gonna steal and that's sending a wrong message. That's what I come to understand about the between the relation between you and the creator. Um, so what I'm saying overall is that my relationship with the creator is that there's no hierarchies. There's no hierarchies. I am really connected with the creator. Everyone is actually everyone. And I know some people are not going to really agree what here in this clip. That's fine, but I'm keeping it real. That's the title of this clip. You know, um, you know, religion. People have the right to worship whatever you want to worship. If you want to worship a statue, go right ahead. Whatever. People are going to have to make the decision how they live. Okay. Um, I don't believe in the whole concept of hell or the pearly gates. I don't really go into that. It just makes to me I don't really care for it honestly. Uh, I look at it like this: the people that do things that's basically not very good or whatever. You're just trying to mess other people's lives up or whatever you do. If you want to commit fraud, what you're doing is that you're only creating a hell for yourself. You create your own hell, and that's what a lot of people out there do. If you wanna live like a criminal, you're screwing yourself. I come to an understanding that there is no savior going to come down. The whole savior concept, I come to an understanding deep down, is that it makes people irresponsible. While you are waiting for something or someone to save you, you are therefore going to continue to perpetuate this fraudulent system that you allow, and me and I allow, we all allow this system to flourish, to continue to flourish, right? And you continue to put your power into the system. So the only one that's going to save us is ourself. So I don't recognize the Lord and Savior. I don't. I really don't. Um, the whole thing about fear God, I question that too. Fear God, like how can you, if God is about love, how you are going to mix fear and love together? It don't mix. I respect my Creator. I do. I do not fear my Creator. I don't fear. Let me just put it like this, folks. I don't fear my Creator. I don't fear any dark entity. I don't. Or any entity in the cosmos. I do not have. I have zero fear. I do know that my creator is always looking out for me. And I have a lot of proof. I look at my life. I look at a lot of things that I've been through, even way after I left the church. A lot of things that I've been through, and I felt like my back was against the wall, and I felt like things work out. My power comes from the creator, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful because I have no idea that I was going to make it through this far as this whole Christian experience. I have no idea I was going to make it through it. It was, it really was. I thought I wasn't going to make it. And here I am. I battled, I want to share this. I almost forgot. I want to share this couple of things real quick before I wrap up. You know, during my first year in the Christian church, I was walking to church and a dark entity told me, whether it was Satan or whatever, but it told me that it owns all the churches. I didn't believe it. I was amazed. It was like, wow. You remember, it kind of made me thought about the Back to the Future. Matter of fact, let me just make this example as an example here. Back to the Future number two. Remember, Marty McFly confronted Biff in a roof in his casino. Was it the alternate 1985? When Biff told Marty McFly is like, he said, "Kid, I own the police." That was the equivalent of this entity told me that it owns all the churches. And honestly, for what I know now, that dark entity is correct. I mean, when the church revealed itself more and so in everything, not just my life, but a lot of things went down in that church, but it revealed itself. I'm like, wow, I was really taught that the dark entities they don't say the truth. But in this particular situation, this entity was correct. Not saying that it's not deceitful in a lot of things, no. But this entity that approached me was correct. Whether it's what happened, whether you believe me or not, folks. And I battled through demonic creatures off and on, randomly, and I had a lot of you want to call it what do they call it, sleep paralysis. But I've seen things. I've seen things that seem to be there, not there, try to press me down, and sometimes I have one demonic force, demonic being, or sometimes two, and they try to pin me down, and I just break free. I break free. That power that I exercise is from the Creator, and I'm very grateful for that. So, so I'm gonna wrap it up. So, So if we're gonna save ourselves, it's up to us. So I understand the whole narrative in the Christian faith about fear God, Jesus coming soon. I understand that's ingrained in your head. I know because I obviously experienced it and been taught the same thing. But I'm not trying. I'm not going to be here. I'm not trying to convince anybody. This is something that this particular topic. This is something that you're going to have to come to. You're going to have to come to. You're going to have to see things on your own. There's no one could show you how to. No one can show you through this experience. You have to see things on your own, folks. I'm not going to argue with people that's religious. I don't care if you're Christian, no Muslim. I don't care. You're going to have to see things on your own. And maybe you're not meant to, maybe you're meant to be a Christian, for example, for the rest of your life. Hey, that's up to you. But, I do support natural rights. I support the, the common law, the basic common law. I do. And I'm going to continue to share it. I will. But I want to be clear here that I'm sharing this because I'm hoping that this clip will inspire you folks. And I want to be clear in case anybody thinks have this notion that I'm a Christian. I am not. Okay. I do believe in the Creator, which I've mentioned many times in this clip. Um, and I feel relieved. I cannot say enough how when I faced that fear, it was a huge, tremendous weight lifted off my back. So, in general, not just about this, but in general in life, you're going to have to face your fears. No matter how much you try to hide from it or try to mask it and act like everything's okay, you're going to have to face it. You're going to have to face it and you're going to have to overcome it. You're going to have to figure it out. Nobody taught me how to overcome this psychological warfare that was created through the Christian church. I had to do it on my own. No one taught me how to fight demonic forces that use me to try to commit, for me to commit suicide and other situation. No one, no. I had to do it on my own. I had to believe in my power within, and I had to fight it. And I became victorious in the end. And I'm going to continue. I understand what I need to do. I understand my purpose in life. And I know what needs to be done. And I'm very excited about it. Not many people I know who they are. Not many. Not many people. And I do hope whoever is listening, I do hope if you're not sure what your purpose in life is, I do hope you find out real soon. But I have vision, and the creator doesn't make mistakes. And I'll say this with absolute confidence. The task that's been put in my heart for me to do in this life, no one or nothing is going to stop me. I say that with absolute confidence because I'm not alone. I'm not alone. And people, friends comes and go, but I'm never alone. I'm never alone. Anyway, I hope this clip inspires everyone. And again, if you are offended, well, too bad. This is another clip of keeping it real. I will do another one. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to say on the next one, the third one, but obviously I try to keep things interesting in this channel. So like and subscribe, everyone. And until then, talk to you next time.